The Columbus City Council meeting for December 7th, 2020 will now come to order. In compliance with the Open Meeting Act, Nebraska Revised Statute 84-1407, current copy of this act is posted in the meeting room. You want us to stand, Madam Clerk? No, you guys can sit for right now. Of habit, I know.
You do well. I mean,
It is.
You want to read the oath of
Ready?
office? Yeah.
I, James B. Bulkley.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were going to read the agenda item, oath of office.
Office.
Okay. Please stand, raise your right hand, and repeat after me. I, please state your name,
James B. Bulkley.
I, Charlie Barr,
John F. Lohr. Ron Schilling. Troy G. Hemer.
do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Nebraska
And
and the Constitution of the State of Nebraska
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same,
and allegiance to the same,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or for the purpose of evasion.
or for the purpose of evasion,
I will faithfully and impartially perform the duties of
and that I will faithfully and impartially perform the duties of mayor
council member
member.
according to law,
According to
according to
law.
law,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
And I do further swear
And I do further swear
that I do not advocate,
that I do not advocate
nor am I a member of any political party
nor am I a member of any political party
or organization that advocates
or organization that advocates
the overthrow of the government
the overthrow of the government
of the United States or of this state
of the United States or this state
or violence,
by force or violence,
and that during such time as I am in this position,
and that during such time as I am in this position,
not advocate
I will not advocate
nor become a member of any political party,
nor become a member of any political party
organization that advocates
or organization that advocates
the overthrow of the government
the overthrow of the government
of the United States or of this state
of the United States or this state
or violence.
by force or violence,
So help me God.
so help me God. All right, thank you. Roll call, please.
Folkley,
Here.
Augustine Schulte. Here. Barr,
Here.
Hemer.
Here.
Jablonski.
Here.
Kreshaw.
Here.
Lohr.
Here.
Roth.
Here. Here.
Folkley, the roll has been called.
Thank you. Council President.
our Father, thank you for the opportunity to serve our fellow citizens. Please give us your wisdom and guidance to make the proper decisions entrusted to this governmental body. May our conduct show respect, honor, and courtesy to each other, as well as to all our citizens. Amen.
You see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with with liberty and justice for all.
Six is appointment of city officers. I just wanted to call to your attention that if you wish, you can do all item 6A through F with one motion, or you can go through them individually if you wish.
Do them all.
Do them all.
I would move that the appointment of all the officers as listed be ratified.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to ratify all the appointments of city offices. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay.
Oh, came back again.
Do we need to vote again now?
Everybody had their votes in. Okay. There you go.
Motion passes.
Item 7, election of council president.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to nominate Councilperson Augustine Schulte for that position.
Mayor, would you like to call for any other nominations?
Any other nominations? We have no other nominations. Nominations would be closed, or do I have to? I'd have to do it 3 times if I remember.
Further nominations, and if, we don't have to do it 3 times.
Okay. Okay,
If there's no other nominations, a motion to close as
Move to
listed.
close the nominating committee, or the nomination.
we have a motion to close, and we need a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to close. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. There really doesn't need to be a vote. There's only one nomination.
Still have to vote?
We
Oh, you do have to vote?
typically
Okay.
do,
Okay.
just to have consensus. Oh, there's the closed. Now we can vote on it.
Somebody'd like to make that second motion listed under recommended motions?
Appointment of council members?
Nope.
No? Where are you at?
Motion to elect council
Oh, I'm
member
sorry.
Augustine
Yep.
Schulte as council president.
Sorry.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to elect Augustine Schulte as council president. Any discussion?
Do I have to vote on that?
You can.
You can
won't
cer-
matter.
You can certainly have discussion if you want.
I guess we ought to ask, is she willing to serve?
Well, I assumed if she had no discussion, she must be.
I was just quite surprised that I was nominated, so I am more than open to taking whatever position to support the council, so that's fine.
All right. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay.
Okay.
Motion passes.
Item 8, appointment of council members to Public Finance, Judiciary and Personnel Committee and Public Property, Safety and Works Committee. Item 8A, council members John F. Lohr, Rich Jablonski, Beth Augustine Schulte, and Troy Hemer to the Public Finance, Judiciary and Personnel Committee, and council members Charlie Barr, Dennis Creshaw, J. Prent Roth, and Ron Schilling to the Public Property, Safety and Works Committee.
Somebody want to make a motion, please?
Recommend the mayor's appointment be ratified.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 9, consent agenda. The following items are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a City Council member or citizen so requests, in which event the item will be removed from consent status and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. Item 9A, minutes of the November 16th, 2020 City Council meeting. Item 9B, minutes of the November 24th, 2020 special City Council meeting. Item 9C, minutes of the November 30th, 2020 Civil Service Commission meeting, certifying police officer candidates Angel Chavez and Nathan Fowler, and certifying firefighter EMT hazmat candidates Nicholas Blodgett and Reggie Raffert and Joel Vollertson, and selecting Adam Sveda as additional firefighter EMT hazmat candidate for potential position in the near future. Item 9D, reappointment of Leela Shecker, Pam Peralt, and Tom Wunderlich to the Americans with Disabilities Compliance Committee for 3-year terms. Item 9E, reappointment of Dennis Warden to the Columbus Board of Airport Commissioners for a 2-year term, and Robert Cruz and Keith Harbour for 3-year terms. And item 9F, resolution number R20-127, reaffirming the city's intent to provide or expand municipal solid waste collection services. Item 9G, resolution number R20-128, approving the service consultant agreement with Northeast Nebraska Economic Development District for housing management, Nebraska Affordable Housing Trust Funds grant contract number 20-TFHP-17006. Item 9H, resolution number R20-129, approving the renewal of the maintenance agreement number 8 with Nebraska Department of Transportation from January 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2021 for maintenance of state highway system in the city limits. And item 9I, payroll and bills on file. Mr. Mayor and Council, would you like to remove anything from the consent agenda?
Mr. Mayor, seeing the items on the consent agenda being routine in nature, I move that be approved as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve as presented. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye, those opposed nay. Motion passes. Brings us up to report of the city offices.
Item 14A, Police Department update on the mask ordinance enforcement.
Chief Shear, would you come forward and give us your report, please?
Charles Shear, Police Chief, City of Columbus, Nebraska. As requested by the Mayor and Council, I'm here tonight to give you an update on the mask ordinance that went into effect on the 28th of November. At the time that I printed this off, I think we had 10 total calls, and out of those 10 calls, 4 of those calls actually went into effect before the mask ordinance went into effect. They were more questions about how the mask ordinance was going to be enforced and questions concerning the mask ordinance and so forth. We had 2 calls that were informational and 4 calls that were requiring officers to investigate or for action. And out of those that we got called to, really all we did was just talk to the individuals, and there was compliance. And one of the things that we've done since this went into effect is I've put masks in packages in the cruisers. So if we do get called to a situation and somebody does not have a mask, we're able to hand those masks out with instructions on the proper wear, maintenance, and wearing and care for that mask in the long term. So that we take away that argument that they are not prepared or they don't have one.
Chief, is that coming out of your budget?
Yes, it's coming out of our budget, but we're hoping the East Central is able to reimburse us.
So you're hoping for reimbursement costs?
Through East Central, yeah. And it sounds promising at this date. I can tell you that there were some concerns about the number of calls we were going to get and what kind of a burden this was going to be for us. We average anywhere from 70 to 100 calls for service a day. And we basically only get about 1 of these calls a day. And so since the 3rd of December, when this was originally printed, till today, we only have 6 additional calls, and those are more for information than anything.
Okay.
So I think that overall it's been successful for us, and it's not been a burden to our staff. And I think we've taken a sensible approach to enforce it. And I think we're mitigating those instances where there might be issues because they don't have one, because now we're handing out masks where it's needed.
Can you explain that the majority of these calls are at 2330 14th Street?
23, that's the office, so if people call, they call us.
So they're called,
They're calling in to us.
so the majority of these are called-in violations.
The approach that we take with the public now, Rich, is that if we don't have to go out on a call, we don't. If we can talk to them over the phone, we do. And so these calls that show 2330 14th Street, that's the address of our new station. And so if they're calling the station to talk to an officer about that, when dispatch gets it, they mark it down as a COVID or a mass call. And then our officers handle it. And if they can handle it telephonically, then we've been able to deal with it with the least amount of enforcement for the most amount of compliance. So I think that stays right within, our philosophy is what we want to try to do. I don't think it's been a problem to this point whatsoever. And I think I'm supposed to come back at each council meeting and give you an update. So the next council meeting I come back at, I'll start from the 3rd of December when this one was written and go from there. And I'll give you how many calls we've had since that date. And if you'd like, I can add a line for cumulative since the start. We can do that as well.
That would make sense. Just have a cumulative, keep a total, keep the information in front of us so we can see it. And then at the-
Biggest problem I have with this gator is trying to keep it above my nose when I'm talking
Need
to
a
you
bigger
guys.
nose. Need a bigger nose. I think one thing that's important is people ask, what do they do if they see it? If they see an infraction, what I've told people is, if you're in a business, usually the business is they've got the sign on the door. We are not out to try to cause an issue. The one thing I think people want to recognize also is the ordinance identifies 6-foot social distancing.
Yes, if you can
mean,
6 foot social distance.
If the public wants to look at our council, we have 6-foot social distancing and councilmen that aren't wearing masks. It is part of the ordinance that's in effect. So, that is the right, so if you are in a business, if it's not very busy, you may be able not to need your mask. I think we've tried to take a light-handed approach to this. We've tried to make it logical for people to be able to comply. And, people have the right to, if they don't want to wear it, to go somewhere else and do their business.
Right.
That is the option that's available.
Right.
And so I'm glad to hear your comments on the number of calls that have come in. I'm sure there's been more where people have not had them on and people just said, I'm going to go down the other aisle, or I'm going to go away. Or maybe there's been 6 foot, so it hasn't been an issue.
Well, Rachel's here tonight. I think she'd back me up to say that we have received calls about businesses outside the city limits not in compliance. But we tell people that since they are outside the city limits, they're not required to comply. We don't have any jurisdiction out there. And the sheriff doesn't have the authority to enforce it since this is a city ordinance.
All right.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question.
Yes.
So we have, if we could be, as you stated, the ordinance says we can be 6 feet, if we can be 6 feet apart. So what are the perimeters though? When our council members that are not wearing masks, they are socially distanced, so this is within the ordinance. But when they leave the building, do they have to remain 6 feet from everyone? Do they have to be 6 feet away from everyone when they're walking out the door? If someone stops them to ask a question, are they gonna have to put their masks on if they're standing next to to me, that's just a little bit fuzzy to say. I'm thinking if I go into Hy-Vee at really late and there's no one in there, and I don't have my mask on and I go out to the checkout line, I won't be 6 feet away from that checker. So I can not.
You're not 6 feet away from the checker, but that checker might have the plastic in front of them. I'm not sure. I haven't been through Hy-Vee. The other thing is, if you read the ordinance does state if you're up and going somewhere, 6 foot is 6 foot. So if they walk by you legally, they should have their mask on. If they cannot maintain 6 foot.
They have to maintain 6 feet.
Maintain
Gotcha.
6 foot social distancing.
All right, I just wanted that clarification, so
And
thank you.
I know a couple of establishments I've been in have, people have walked to their table with their mask on. They get to their table and they're done. They take their they sit at their table, they get up to order or maybe use the restroom, they put it on. Right now, a lot of times, people have to be reminded because it's new, it's something, I mean, I'll be the first to tell you, I've gotten out of my car and taken 4, 5, 6, 8 steps and gone, oops. Charlie, how far did you have to go back?
All the way to the
Oops.
parking lot.
I mean, it's something we are trying to get used to and trying to get into a habit or a routine, you know? So I think overall it's gone well. I'm sure there have been some bumps and there will continue to be some bumps. Hopefully we can move forward with it.
To this point, though, it's been minimal, so I don't think it's been a real issue for us.
Thank you, Chief.
Yep, you're welcome.
Beth, for your information, I wore mine in, I will wear mine out. I wore mine to the restroom, yeah.
Well, I was just curious how that's gonna work. I'm just thinking of people thinking they're gonna be able to stay 6 feet away, and then all of a sudden they're not.
Is he
Gonna get a
officially
sign that
president?
says, keep your distance 6 feet
There
away.
you go. We need the high-V lanes all to go one way again.
I would like to add also that, according to the news media, 17 cities now have adopted a mask mandate now, so I just thought I'd throw that out for information.
And it may also be good to note that when we did make this vote, I guess, or mandate, the curve was going down. And since this last weekend, the number has decreased, according to East Central District Health, by over half for tests positive.
I think that's awesome news, and if we're fortunate enough to keep that trend line, you know, this thing could certainly be done before February 23rd. I mean, we said that from the beginning.
And how would that work?
It would be a vote by us to wanting to rescind an ordinance.
Who would bring that forward?
It naturally expires on the 23rd.
It naturally
It
expires.
expires on the 23rd.
But I mean, yes.
But if it goes down significantly, we can bring it forward?
Yeah.
All right, there's no motion needed. If discussion's completed, I will move on to item 18, new business. Item 18A is appointment of Kristen Stock to the Business Improvement Board for a 3-year term.
With your permission, I wish to submit the following name to you for appointment at the December 7th, 2020 council meeting, as per council rules. Kristen Stock is a small-town Nebraska girl growing up in Newman Grove, where her dad was a farmer and her mom was a nurse. She is a co-owner of Big Iron with her husband Ron and Ron's brother and his wife. Kristen has been involved in economic and community development in some form throughout her professional career. Kristen owns Artsy Haven in downtown Columbus, and she loves the vibe of our downtown. She strives to make her business a destination for crafters and scrapbookers from all over the U.S.
Mr. Mayor, I move to ratify this appointment.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to ratify this appointment. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 18B, appointment of Kendall Christensen to the Columbus Housing Authority for a 5-year term.
Council members, with your permission, I wish to submit the following name to you for the appointment of the Columbus Housing Authority, Kendall Christensen. Kendall Christensen is a longtime Columbus resident, having served our community in various capacities for more than 40 years. He retired from Loop Power District after 41 years, the last 25 years serving as Vice President of Operations. He currently serves as First Vice Commander and Membership Chairman in the Hartman Post 84 American Legion, and as Secretary-Treasurer of the Columbus Isaac Walton League. Kendall is a member of the Noon Lions Club and also of Trinity Lutheran Church, where he served on the governing council for several years. He also served on the City of Columbus Tree Board for several years.
I move the mayor's appointment for Kendall Christensen to the Columbus Housing Authority be ratified.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to ratify this appointment. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 18C, quote from Electronic Engineering in the amount of $49,916.05 to equip 3 police vehicles.
Mr. Mayor, I recommend the quote from Electronic Engineering to equip 3 police vehicles be accepted.
Have a motion and a second to approve the quote from Electronic Engineering. Any discussion? Yes, sir.
Couple of questions. This is about $16,000 a vehicle, and only one quotation was received that I saw. Do we only have one supplier of this type of equipment?
I'll let Chief answer it, but I think unless I answer it correctly, I believe the answer is yes. There's only one supplier that does provide this equipment for police departments.
And we sole source it because they have the equipment that we have in all the other vehicles too.
Are the prices in line with previous quotations and previous purchases?
Yes,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 18D, comments from the mayor and city council members. In compliance with the Open Meeting Act, no discussion can be held on this item.
Council members, any discussion this evening?
Comments?
Comments? No discussion, sorry. Use the C word, not the D word.
Thought it was a test.
Yeah. All I would say is I know there's a lot of residents on 15th Street that probably thought it would never get done, but you've got to look at it and say, wow, it's a pretty nice piece of highway or a road. So we're glad that it is done. I mean, there's things that will get wrapped up this spring, but it's nice to see that open and see people using it, and it does look good. So, so with that, we'll move on to resolutions.
Item 19A, resolution number R20-130, approving the agreement with the golf professional Douglas Dunbar for golf professional services from January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2021.
Mr. Mayor, I move that resolution number R20-130 be adopted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution number R20-130. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 19B, resolution number R20-131, approving the grant agreement with Nebraska Community Foundation for the benefit of Columbus Area Futures Fund in the amount not to exceed $3,000 for development and implementation of its Move to Columbus campaign using Economic Development 840 funds as recommended by the Citizens Advisory Review Committee.
Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of resolution number R20-131.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve resolution R20-131. Any discussion? I think it's an excellent place to spend some economic development funds. $3,000 for this program is an awesome opportunity.
Yes.
All right, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 19C, resolution number R20-132, approving the change order number 1 with Landscapes Unlimited LLC in the amount of $32,823.28 to provide for additional irrigation system repairs as part of the Quail Run Golf Course flood damage repairs.
Mr. Mayor, I recommend resolution number R20-132 be adopted.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to adopt resolution R20-132. Any discussion?
Yes, I want to know if there's about 60 items on that have not been completed. Is that going to affect?
They've actually been completed because Landscapes Unlimited did them while they were here when they had everything torn up as they found things. And we documented them just how FEMA and NEMA, Nebraska Emergency Management Agency, required that we documented them. I sent that to them about every month as we were actually doing the work. So I have an email that says your documentation is spot on, you've given us everything, so there should be no problem with getting the 75%.
Well, as of this last week, when I was down talking to the group, and they said there was, a lot of this stuff hasn't been done.
Irrigation work?
Yes,
To what group?
pardon?
To what group were you talking?
I was talking to Keith.
Well, the irrigation work, as far as I know, is complete, and what they're coming back to do is the final grading, the next item
I
on the
understand that.
agenda,
I
and they'll
understand that totally.
finalize some of the irrigation finish work.
Well, there are items out there that aren't working.
Well,
According-
they'll have to fix them when they come back.
Okay, I mean, I just don't want to be paying them if they're not completing their work and saying that they are.
Well,
I would appreciate have known that, so I'm glad you told me that, and I'm disappointed I'm hearing about it now, but I'll hold the check until I get a follow-up on it.
All right, appreciate that.
Yes,
So this
John?
change order is not in addition, but part of the original FEMA plan?
It's in addition to the irrigation project.
But it will be funded by
It's all
FEMA?
part of
Yes.
FEMA.
It will still be 75% funded by FEMA.
Good, thank you.
Yes.
We don't have to, we'll get 25% of this though, right?
We have to pay 25% of it, yes. We'll get 75% reimbursed to us. And I actually have the paperwork on my desk that it's already been obligated.
Any other discussion? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 19D, resolution number R20-133, authorizing payment of various improvement projects.
Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of resolution number R20-133.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution R20-133. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 19E, resolution number R20-134, approving the agreement with Landscapes Unlimited LLC in an amount not to exceed $1,378,345.67 for flood damage repairs at Quail Run Golf Course.
Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of resolution number R20-134.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution R20-134. Any discussion? I know this is for different work, but that'd be the check I'd want to hold in case I don't have anything done. It's a lot bigger. All those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay.
And I think it's worth saying for the record again that we'll get 75% back
Right,
from the
this is all
federal
part of
government.
FEMA. Yep. Motion passes.
Item 19F, resolution number R20-135, approving the interlocal cooperation agreement with Platte County and Polk County for the Joint Communication Center to provide primary emergency communication and 911 dispatch services.
Mr. Mayor, I move resolution number R20-135 be adopted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve resolution R20-135. Any discussion?
How many other counties do we currently have?
It's just Platte County right now, so
Oh.
Polk County will
Polk
be
was
our
the
first
first.
additional. Mhm.
Great.
And the JCC has approved this agreement and recommending your approval too.
Now, this was really what we were hoping could evolve with the Joint Communication Center, was not only bringing Platte County and Columbus together, but also then possibly bringing in adjacent and adjoining counties. So Polk would be the first, and hopefully we'll see some more. We're excited about it.
Without going into too much detail, are we actively soliciting other counties?
Yes.
We're discussing with other counties as much as we can. Yes, the timing was right with Polk County. They're a much more rural county than Platte County, and they were having staffing issues and things like that. So the timing was right, and we probably one of the fastest negotiations on an interlocal that I've had, which is great, and it's going to be good for the JCC.
Good, thank you very much.
I'd also like to point out, I think it's kudos to Rachel Pensack. She's doing an awesome job there.
Yes.
She had her hands full to take over something like this, and she's ran with it and done a very good job.
Yes, exactly.
Absolutely. All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 19G, resolution number R20-136, approving amendment to the redevelopment plan entitled Amendment to the Redevelopment Plan for the Armory Neighborhood Redevelopment Area, the Frontier Park Redevelopment Project.
Mr. Mayor, I move that resolution number R20136 be adopted.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to adopt resolution R20-136. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 20, ordinances on their first reading. Item 20A, ordinance number 20-26, receiving certification of election results for issuance of bonds in principal amount not to exceed $10 million for costs of constructing a community building to include a library, children's museum, art gallery, and community room, and apply funds from the existing 1/2 of 1% sales and use tax for the payment of such bonds.
Mr. Mayor, move the rules be suspended and ordinance number 2026 be read by number only.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to read ordinance number 20-26 by number only. Any discussion? Seeing none, this is a great ordinance because it's a culmination of years of work to bring a project forward with voter approval. All those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Ordinance number 20-26.
Move for the adoption of ordinance number 2026.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for the adoption of ordinance number 20-26. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Can we clap?
Hmm?
Can we
Okay,
clap?
you can
Sure
do what
can.
you want, John. Item 20B, ordinance number 20-27, amending section 91.01 of chapter 91 of title 9 of ordinance number 05-47 Columbus City Code, adopting limited applications of the 2018 International Fire Code. The Planning Commission recommends approval. No motion is needed. This is our first reading.
All right.
Item 20C, ordinance number 20-28, amending chapter 150 of title 15 of ordinance number 05-47 Columbus City Code, adopting the 2018 Uniform Plumbing Code. The Planning Commission recommends approval. Again, no motion is needed. This is a first reading. Item 20-D, ordinance number 20-29, amending chapter 150 of title 15 of ordinance number 05-47 Columbus City Code, adopting the 2018 International Residential Code. The Planning Commission recommends approval. Again, first reading, no motion is necessary. Item 20E, ordinance number 20-30, amending chapter 150 of title 15 of ordinance number 05-47 Columbus City Code, adopting the 2018 International Building Code. The Planning Commission recommends approval. Again, first reading, no motion is needed. Item.
I would make a comment regarding all of those similar items. This is us adopting the newer version, which is already a state
Right.
state law. We are updating to that. Is that not right, Dan?
Right.
To make us even with the state? Okay.
And we're required to do so. And
Right,
we've amended it as close to our previous as we've been able to.
Read my mind.
Okay. All right.
Right. Item 20F, ordinance number 20-31, amending section 32.085 of chapter 32 of title 3 of ordinance number 05-47 Columbus City Code to clarify the Board of Health members and their appointments.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the rules be suspended and ordinance number 20-31 be read by number only.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and read ordinance number 20-31 by number only. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Ordinance number 20-31.
Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of ordinance number 20-31.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance number 20-31. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 24, unfinished business. Item 24A, resolution number R20-140, approving the employment agreement with City Administrator Tara L. Vasacek.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the City Council go into closed session at this time. The subject matter to be discussed shall be employment contract with City Administrator Tara L. Vasacek. The reason for going into closed session is for the prevention of needless injury to the reputation of an individual. Mayor Bulkley and City Attorney Neil Valores will be included in the closed session.
All those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay.
Doesn't someone have to reread it?
Yeah, Mayor, do you have your sheet there to read for closed session?
You gotta read it, yeah.
Gotta read it again.
The City Council has voted to go into closed session at this time. The subject matter to be discussed shall be the employment contract with City Administrator Tara L. Vasacek. The reason for going into closed session is for the prevention of needless injury to the reputation of an individual. Council President Augustine Schulte, myself, and City Attorney Neil Valores will be included in the closed session.
Why are we going into closed session?
We have a motion. Have a motion and a second, please.
Do we have a motion or we need a motion? We need a motion?
Oh, did they? Okay, who seconded it then?
I'll second it.
Okay. We'll take sorry. Okay, now they can vote.
All those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay.
Okay.
Motion passes.
Closed session it is.
Do I read it one? Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, before you move upstairs, I think since we're all in the process of moving, I don't think there are any tables and chairs upstairs.
We can go in there and close the door. Do I read it one more time? Voted to go into closed session at this time. The subject matter to be discussed shall be the employment contract with City Administrator Tara L. Vasacek. The reason for going into closed session is for the prevention of needless injury to the reputation of an individual. Council President Augustine Schulte, Mayor Bulkley, and City Attorney Neil Valores will be included in the closed session. All right.
might go under, but
Mr. Mayor, I move that we exit closed session.
We have a motion and a second to come out of closed session. All those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay.
On you, Beth.
I can't show it now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
exactly. Sorry.
Somebody said that, and I was looking for something else.
There we go. Let's
All right.
see. There we go. Okay. All voted aye.
All voted aye.
Mr. Mayor, I move resolution number R20-140 be adopted.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution R20 dash, what is it?
140.
140.
140, sorry. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay.
There we go.
Motion passes. Meeting adjourned.